just saw this morning, they got a new Elvis exhibition at the Bendigo Art Gallery, and Priscilla Presley, of all people, is coming to Bendigo to open up the exhibition. And I've spoken little bits before about the Bendigo Art Gallery, and this is going to be part of a greater video I'm going to be doing on exposing some of the symbolism in Bendigo and a lot of other things connected to the tunnels and also pedophile rings within this town. But anyway, the art gallery is right next to the Bendigo Capitol Theatre, and the art gallery is very interesting. But like the Capitol Theatre first is the capital. The word Capitol comes from Rome, when Rome was Saturnalia, and they got a thing in Rome called Capitol Hill, and this is pre-Washington DC, which now Washington DC is a Capitol Hill. I think even the one in Canberra might be called Capitol Hill. But anyway, you've got the Capitol Theatre in Bendigo, which was built as a Masonic hall. Now, the official version was that it was built by a man called Varlin, which was one of the, he was the architect of a lot of the buildings at Bendigo, the three Masonic buildings, including the one I've spoke about before, the Varlin House up near View Street, the Bendigo Town Hall, and many, many other buildings. He was a Freemason himself. So anyway, the Capitol Theatre, the word Capitol, comes from the word kaput, and kaput is to symbolize death, and this is what Rome at a certain time was around the cult, was a city of Saturnalia and the cult of Saturn, the Order of the Black Sun, which now we even saw Zelensky come out with the Iron Cross symbolism of the Nazis, which is the Order of the Black Sun, which is quite interesting that Putin said he's denazifying Ukraine. But anyway, so, and also in Italian, I remember when my Italian family came over to visit, they were talking about, he was teaching me certain words and stuff, and I touched my hat, and I said, what's hat? And he said, cappello. And this ties in too. So the Capitol Hill in Rome, where you get the word kaput, is like death, but cap is the head, capello. What that means is like this is where the skull and bones come from. The 322 skull and bones is a reference to Saturn symbolism in Capitol Hill. Is because this whole what's his name, Jay Wildner and all lots of other, but Jordan Maxwell go into like the Saturn death cult if you want to go listen to that, as well as David Icke's book Remember Who You Are. But so anyway, interesting, at the Bendigo Capitol Theatre, which was built as a Masonic hall, and I can show a video in here of when I went in there. So this was the original Bendigo Masonic hall. I've actually just snuck in here then, so hopefully no one hears me. You can see the pillars, right? Roman style. That is Moloch, the owl. See the compass, 5-pointed star. Star, sun, the moon, all-seeing eye, and the reef. And there you have the altar at the front. It's called the Bendigo Bank Theatre now, but this was the original Masonic Hall of Bendigo. Built supposedly by, or architect by, Charles Varlin. And that goes out to the back of the Capitol Theatre. Imagine how much shit's going on in here. So this is, it's not used as a Masonic hall anymore, apparently. But check this out too. So you can see all the symbols everywhere. You got the Masonic compass there, two pillars. Check this out. Maximum 66. So anyway, it's at the front of the Bendigo Art Gallery is a skull, which goes in perfectly next to the Capitol Theatre. So anyway, the Bendigo Art Gallery, a few interesting things about that. It's like, you know, the former mayor was one of the directors or whatever, the Bendigo. They get so much money. When I was a kid, so some of the symbolism around the Bendigo Art Gallery, you've got first of all, it's next to the Capitol Theatre, but then they had a lot of works by like Patricia Piccinini when I was a kid, and I think when I was at school in year 12, we had to study her. It was the state curriculum, you had to study Patricia Piccinini, and she's done stuff with Marina Abramovich before, and she's got all these fucking weird sort of satanic, half-hybrid, human, animal fucking things that she does. And I think they paid, I think it was like $250,000 they paid for that display of sculpture to be at the Bendigo Art Gallery. Now, this is what they call a lot of... So this is behind the back of the Bendigo Capitol Theatre, the old Freemasonic building. That's the Poppet Head. Used obviously for gold mining. Again, marked with another palm tree, a line of palm trees. Here you've got this sick pedo bear, right, with the eyes covered, right at the back of the art gallery. But you'll see over here, they've marked it again, palm tree, palm tree, palm tree. White rabbit. Now the white rabbit represents, in Alice in Wonderland, is when the hero, in the hero's journey, that's the point of the story where the hero enters the unknown world and begins to go on the journey. Also represented in the Matrix movie is when Neo's beginning to have his awakening. He follows the white rabbit. So this is right at the back of the Bendigo Art Gallery. That's Bendigo. This is what they call a lot of contemporary design now to contemporary art. It was even set up by the CIA, people like Andy Warhol. They did a bit of a homage spoof to this in one of the Men in Black movies, but it's true that Andy Warhol was working for the CIA.
Very nice, blank, discreet look in the camera. Is that Andy Warhol? Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Warhol, can we have a minute?
Now's not a good time. This is a BM.
Just a few questions.
You're distressing. Everything about you upsets me.
God damn it, Kay! Were you trying to blow my cover?
Agent W, your cover is safe. Whoa, Andy Warhol's one of us?
Safe. You out of your mind? I'm so out of ideas, I'm painting soup cans and bananas, for Christ's sakes.
Actually, Mr. Warhol, I gotta tell you, I really love your work.
Oh, thank you. Who's the dumbass?
Whoa!
Stop, don't tell me, I don't want to know.
Andy, Yoko's here.
Oh, Yoko's here.
Tell her that I'm filming this man eating a hamburger. It's transcendent.
And this is part about demoralizing and stripping away culture of the former art world, to when you now got Andy Warhol selling these fucking pieces of Campbell's soup cans for like millions of dollars. And then one of the biggest, I think it was the highest ever purchased art price at the time, was the Australian, the gallery in Canberra purchased Blue Poles by Jackson Pollock. I think it was like 50 million at the time. Now we know with like Hunter Biden and Abramovich and stuff like that, people paying these exorbitant prices for art because these are bribes, kickbacks, and payouts.
The modern art industry exists almost entirely to launder money. So think about this for a second. If you hire me to do something shady for you, and then I start to demand payment for that thing, well, you can't really just Venmo me $1 million for like burning down your business or whacking your wife or whatever. But you can buy something from me. But if you buy something like my car, well, the value of my car is set by the market. So if you send me $1 million for my 2001 Mercury Grand Marquis, somebody's going to look at that and find that somewhat suspicious. But the value of art is set somewhat arbitrarily. So I could easily charge you $1 million for a piece of art that I paid $100 to have created. Moreover, if I make a bunch of money in a year and I don't want to pay taxes on that, then I can pay an artist $100 to make me a piece of art. I can value that piece of art at $10 million and then donate that to a museum and then write off that $10 million. Boom, tax loophole.
And now we're seeing, you know, with the Epstein ring with Maria Farmer, talks about, what's her name, Guggenheim in New York and stuff, that they were doing this too. And then a lot of these big people making purchases of art, but it's not really for art. And they do this with book sales and all sorts of things. And now we've seen with Hunter Biden, with his artwork, you know, him wanting huge prices for it and that they can't disclose who the buyer is. So it's a form of money laundering.
So what he really wanted to do was paint, it turned out, and now he is. Hunter Biden is selling his paintings, and they're so good, they're so unbelievable, that people are paying up to $500,000 to buy just one. There are private galleries in New York and LA. According to the Washington Post, the White House is helping him. They're his art dealer now. They helped Hunter Biden reach a deal to hide the identities of the people who bought those paintings. That doesn't sound corrupt or anything.
The other thing that's mad is that they have, Hunter and his mate have decided that they're going to set the prices of these paintings, and they've put them, as we said, at $500,000, which is outrageous for a first-time painter. As beautiful as Hunter's art is, there was a Picasso that was sold this week. It was uncovered in a closet in Maine where it had been sitting for 30 years. That went for $150,000, and Hunter wants 3 times that. So don't think it worked.
And the Bendigo Council just throws ridiculous amounts of money into the arts here and nothing into like local sports facilities and stuff like that. You can't ever get a grant for that, but if it's the arts, yeah. But anyway, so Jane Seymour came to the Bendigo Art Gallery a few years ago, did a private tour. The other one too is they had a Grace Kelly exhibition, Marilyn Monroe exhibition, and now an Elvis one, which are like all MK Ultra people. Like Bryce Taylor spoke about, who was one of the first people to speak about MK Ultra, and she wrote a book called Thanks for the Memories. She speaks about Elvis being a MK Ultra mind control slave. We know Marilyn Monroe was. Grace Kelly obviously being a royal. But yeah, just fucking pretty interesting. I'll check up some other pictures. There's a guy who did the skull artwork. Now, he's also done a lot of other sort of creepy, pedo-ish sort of art. And then around the back of the Bendigo Art Gallery, there's this like pedo, like creepy bear, as well as there's a white rabbit out the back of there too. So it's pretty interesting. It's actually funny. I'm going past another place I know. There's a tunnel under straight here through Berkeley Street, Catholic College School that runs over to the kindergarten here, and this old abandoned building. But I'm actually I'm around the precinct now. But yeah, I just fucking, the other weird one is like the connections in with Varlin, who was this architect, and George Lancel. Now we know George Lancel owned Fortuna Villa, and George Lancel actually he came in as this gold prospector and owner and that, and he was the one where they really industrialized the gold mine. He was the one that came over and did that, and he purchased these mines for fuck all. I think it might have been a German dude they purchased it off.
Bendigo, in fact, an infamous gold mining town that has some of the most fascinating architecture in Australia and an interesting history when it comes to public historical figures. So, Christopher Bollesteed, I think that's how you say it, was a German who came to the Bendigo goldfields in 1854. According to the history books, he seems like a nice man. He had a wife and a son and was the first man to sink mine shafts deep into the ground to get the deposits further down. He made a mozza out of it too, but quite suddenly he died. And so the official narrative goes that within 2 years of his death, his wife and son sold all of Bollesteed's assets to George Lancel and moved back to Germany. So it says here, sorry, if we just go back to that last image, Jojo, Mr. Bollesteed, although upwards of 70 years of age, was active and energetic and in the enjoyment of excellent health until he was struck down by an attack of paralysis, which proved fatal. So, and then within another 2 years of that, his son had died too. Now, I'm not sure how he died. We couldn't find that information. But then Lancel became the richest man in town, a millionaire who continued to mine from Bollesteed's mine for many more years. I mean, it may have had something to do with the obelisks that he had at his mine sites. Who knows? But remember, he was also a Mason with a very interesting family crest, as seen here on his crockery.
When you know, you know. But that all seems so suspicious, doesn't it, Casey? I mean, the richest mine owner in town who is fit and healthy dies suddenly from an attack of paralysis. What even was that? Could it have been poison, maybe? And then within 2 years, his widow sells all their assets to a prominent Mason and returns to her home country with her only son, where within another 2 years, he dies too? Heartbreaking. But why in the world would you sell a mine that was still capable of producing millions of dollars for its owner for many years to come? I think there might have been a bit more going on behind the scenes in Bendigo than the history books allow.
Exactly, Jojo. I mean, Lancel even got the man's mansion in the deal. The Villa Fortuna, which still stands today, I mean, look at it. 40 rooms it has. And would you look at that tech on the roof? What is that? It's still there today. So if anyone is in Bendigo and knows what this is on top of the Villa Fortuna, please leave us a comment. We would love to know.
And now check out the interior and the gardens that surrounded it. It's incredible. This man lived in absolute opulence, didn't he? So much stuff. And those statues, look at them. They're so stunning. I wonder where he got them from.
According to the official narrative, they say he got them shipped to him from all over the world.
And of course, Fortuna Villa. Palm trees, eh? He built Fortuna Villa, which is this amazing mansion, which was eventually sold off by his estate to the Australian military, and now it's privately owned. But anyway, Fortuna Villa's got a lot of tunnels in it. There's said to be one that runs from there up to the hospital. I'm going to put all this into a bigger video at a later date. But anyway, George Lancel was knighted. He also was one of the biggest media owners in Victoria at the time. And I think he met with like Prince Albert and future King George in Bendigo too when they opened up the Alexander Fountain in Bendigo. But I'm getting to the point that the Bendigo area is heavily tunnelled, and a lot of them, well, the certain level ones that were built for the gold mines were done by George Lancel, and he's got a tunnel system run to the house. Actually, have a look at this. I'm going past the Capitol Theatre now. There's an Elvis exhibition and the skull, if you can see it. So there's a lot of Masonic buildings on this street, a View Street, as well as the Sandhurst Club, which is just on the corner here. There's Bendigo Wine Bank, which is a Masonic building. I think Farland built that. And that's the Sandhurst Club there. And then Alexander Fountain anyway. So that's the War Memorial. Obviously they got the phallic symbol and then the dome, and that's got George Lancel here, and he's the man who owned Fortuna Villa. And this is the law courts here. So that's where I know the tunnel runs from there up that way, as well as the Bendigo Creek runs tunnel along here. But again, palm tree. So another good one right near the centre of Bendigo. There's Kale Brothers building, and if you can see on the corner there, you got the compass. The compasses, right? Freemasonic compasses. Obviously the two pillars. That has an underground basement. So does this one here. What does it say? Established 1866. Don't even know what that one is, but again, that's another restaurant down here. The bottom is called Basement Bar. So these all have undergrounds as well. Again, the building next to it, you can see the two pillars out the front. And that's a close-up of Alexander Fountain. And well, you'll find this, I think the whole centre of Bendigo is a homage to the royal lineage. This is what I've said before, that Victoria, more so than the rest of Australia, is far more of the royal Rothschild faction than particularly Sydney, that is more of the Rockefeller CIA faction. So makes a lot of sense of what's going on now, because there is sort of factional wars going on. But the Cale brothers, that's a classic. They're well-known family in town, and it's generations old, that building. But you can see classic Solomon's Temple, 2 pillars out the front and the compasses on the side. So this was an old colonial bank building. It's now a Thai restaurant, but again, another classic Freemasonic building with the arch and twin pillars, and of course the Roman style Moloch owl. And look at this fucking thing. Some sort of reptile demon. And then again here, I don't even know what this building is, but it's again same thing. These are Tartarian buildings by the look of it. This is called the Beehive building. Again, we see with the arches and the Roman style Moloch owl. See a lot of digging underground there. Again, I've seen I've put in like the palm tree symbolism by this artist that did this artwork at Bendigo Art Gallery. But then the palm is like, it can symbolize many things, and it does. The palm trees symbolize eternal life. And, you know, it has been suggested that these can be markers for where tunnels run, but also you have the child trafficking symbolism. And if you're talking about eternal life and what they do with children in adrenochrome, it does make sense that the palm tree would symbolize eternal life, or the eternal life of the child, or those trying to rob the eternal life of the child through sex rituals and adrenochrome. And then obviously Jeffrey Epstein, the Epstein Island. What is the symbol of Epstein Island? It's a symbol of the palm tree. And back to the Masonic influence here, I found another connection with so the Capitol Theatre is not used as a Masonic hall. It's called like the Bendigo Bank, whatever it's called now, that part of the Capitol Theatre, which is a Masonic hall. But there's a number of other Masonic halls in Bendigo, but the main one now is on the Kaiva Highway. And you can see the base of where the new Masonic hall is. It forms a triangle with the Masonic hall at the base. Now the side street that runs up as a triangle with Connect Church at the top is called Solomon Street. Now we know the Masonic's connection to Solomon and the 2 towers. And this is why quite interesting in the hero's journey. A great one is Lord of the Rings, and the second movie is called The 2 Towers, which collapse. And this is the Phoenix Rising ritual. And what happens in the third Lord of the Rings is it's a positive Phoenix Rising, which equates to when Aragorn returns to become king. And that's the third movie, The Return of the King, which is which fits in classically to the hero's journey story. So if you look at Bendigo, to have Solomon Street, Solomon's soul is the sun, temple of the sun, and this is what this connects into what they want to do with Israel, with rebuilding and recreating Solomon's temple and collapsing the Dome of the Rock, or wherever they want to put it. Is that's the big Phoenix Rising ritual, the destruction and then the building of the new world and the return of the king. Same thing. So pretty interesting. Now, even if you get the symbolism around Solomon, there's the Tower 7 that collapsed in at 9/11 was called Solomon, the Solomon Brothers building, until there was a Mandela effect, and now it's called the Salomon Brothers building. But also you had the Twin Tower connection at 9/11, where the 2 towers collapsed. That's the Masonic ritual, Order ad Chaos, and again the Phoenix Rising. So I just thought that was interesting, that street that runs up the triangle with the Masonic building at the bottom is called Solomon Street. And yeah, what was I going to say? The last one is then down the bottom of it, it's like a bit of a homage. The street next down from the Khyber is actually called Lancer Street, named after none other than the famous Freemason George Lancer, Bendigo.